What do you do, good people? You know what time it is. It's that time when we speak about nothing else but books, and nothing else but more books. So this is the Eerie Project podcast, another edition. We have a very wonderful guest all the way from Mahikeng. I'm actually in Mahikeng right now, bruh. Yeah, I'm gonna say it like that's what I say it right now. I'm like Mahikeng, you know. I can talk about Mahikeng or we are going to be speaking about a very interesting is not the right way to describe the book. I think it's not an interesting book, but it's a really self-revelatory. Yeah, I think those words will I guess, explain the book well. So I'm here in Mahikeng, like I said, and I'm with Keaobaka Intelligencia Dipale, but she does not only go by the name, she also has a stage name, which is Kia African Princess.
Oh, yes.
And as you can see behind me, that's the branding, that's her. And I'm just here to engage her a little bit on her recent anthology, which I think was released in 2023 earlier, right?
2021 late.
Or 2021. Oh yeah, because I only got the book this year when we did the launch for Red Dot. And so that's why maybe I kind of put you in the same time frame. But that's not a big deal anyway, so they will stay with you forever. That's the interesting thing about books, right? So the title of the book is called Crying Ink's My Savior. That's you can actually hear it from the title itself, the crying ink and it being the savior, which is a very deep, I think, title for a book. Let's start here. How are you, Oskia?
Yo, how am I? I don't know how I am. I'm everything all in one. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I am exhausted.
Yeah. I understand. I'm exhausted. That's why I get pretty curious. And there's a pool behind me. They don't understand. That's why I'm wearing shades. You can't see my eyes.
They don't know. They don't know.
I don't even know the pause getting me so tataya.
Sorry.
You guys have that.
You we sorted out.
Wow, I actually had a blast yesterday. I saw great performances. I got to experience, where the poetry came from. It was actually interesting to hear your mother's side of the story because in the book, although you actually do a poem for her, in the book, it was interesting to hear her side of the story from her own mouth,
Yes.
So, but Oskia, going into the book, right? But before we go into the book, obviously we have to speak about where did the poetry start for you, and what I guess made you believe that you can actually write.
I didn't take it as writing, I think. Yeah. I was just recently introduced to poetry. Kira Stenet 7, grade.
Yeah, I think your
9.
mom said you were 14 or so.
Yes, I was 14 years old. I think I was going through Budiklomami, so So there was just a lot of things going on, and I felt like I couldn't talk to people.
Oh,
yeah, and thing man, how you don't know do they understand actually what you're saying. So there was only one way I could actually just say what I needed to say, and that was just me crying on my pen, on my paper, So that's how everything started.
But the interesting part about you starting was that although for you it was a way of escapism or a way of expression, you ended up winning competitions. Can you? Because your mom actually said that, no, she actually came out first place provincially, and it went on nationally, and she came out second place nationally. And
Yeah.
so these poems that you were performing at the time, right? At the time when you won these competitions, just as a 14-year-old who's just, maybe trying to figure out what poetry is, because I don't think a 14-year-old understands.
No.
Yeah. But
No.
are the poems in the book?
Yeah, most of them.
No, I'm speaking specifically about the poems that got you to win the provincial and
Yes.
the.
Yes. Yes.
Are they there? So what's the name of the poem? Because you didn't like specify or no. This is the poem that got me on,
Kuningi, uyabona kuningi, my brother.
So which poem exactly?
Okay, it is standing up against xenophobia.
Oh,
I think it was that era
I remember the
around,
poem.
yeah, era. It was bekushubile ke lapha eMzansi, yabo. So yeah, it was advertised from Poetic Justice. I think it was done by the Department of Justice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then they were just encouraging all those things of speaking out, and they had titles, eight titles there that we had to choose. So unfortunately, my teacher was not here. Memo Khajani is the one who referred me to the newspaper article. Oh, man, there's this one thing, and you said you love poetry and all those things. So try your luck, because it was not even published. It was just a general paper there. So I saw the details. I was like, okay, what topic would be best for me? And then I was like, okay, standing up against xenophobia, because that was the current issues going on. Even though I had not experienced xenophobic attacks or saw people like that, but that was happening in the world. So I write from such things like that.
From actual experiences.
Yes.
So you win the provincial competition, right? And so how do you feel, right?
Yo.
Wait, were you even shy? Would you consider yourself a shy person?
I'm an extremely shy person.
So, but you hoid a performance that time.
I think it was about that stage in my life. I was finding myself and body identity kind of stuff, and I needed to find my own voice. And I was like, okay, poetry kind of does it for me. I think I can do this thing. So, Bushai Buteng, no, I'm tatazailing inside. You don't know.
But we just can't see. You just know how to keep cool. Keep calm and collected.
So yeah.
What?
Yes.
So yeah. So okay. So all right. So well, as I was reading the poem, I noticed that you started, with a very, sensitive subject, and that's exactly what your mom actually touched on as well, yesterday,
Yes.
Because I feel like most of the poems are your feelings, are your true, honest feelings. This is really you. Were you never scared or to like maybe how people would look at you as you were basically putting out because that's what you were doing, you were being vulnerable and exposing yourself, and being open with people, which these are the things that I'm going through, which is really hard. If you ask a lot of us, we will hide a lot of things that we are going through.
That's true.
But what I'm trying to get to is, were you not scared? What was going through your mind as you were like, okay, now I'm ready to put these things out and let the world read them?
I think at some point I realized I'm also a person.
Oh yeah.
I'm part of a collective, a community. This whole wide world is just made up of people,
Yeah.
And we are going through stuff. But like you're saying, we can actually stand up there and say, I get hurt when you joke about such things like that. Or, I love it when you do this. Just a matter of expressing yourself. So I noticed I had this other friend, cousin. The first poem that I ever wrote was Fatherless. Yes, I was experiencing that, like it was a thing,
a real thing that was happening to you.
People are there. My father, there's father figures in their lives. I had my granddad. Yes, I loved that, but there was like age gap ya rona ne le too much, you know. As much as I loved him. Yes, mare ne ke sena that thing, and I noticed gore ha ke knows mo nthong e leng teng ena. So why not talk about it? Like, it's okay. A lot of people go through things and then they'd rather hide behind bullying or just joking around stuff, you know, to make other people uncomfortable. And once you get really deep into that, you realize, the people who bully, actually the people who like laughing when people stand up and try to do something, they're the actual people who need that assistance, you know. Yes. So I was like, okay, but I know
what you are doing.
I know that I'm not the only person going through what I'm going through, and I'm just not gonna keep quiet, you know. Growing up, really after you know that poem, ke gopola ko standard 10. Yeah, we had a group of friends because of openness about me being fatherless and me actually wanting to perform and being vulnerable in front of people. Re groupie. The fatherless children from Rustenburg.
Wow, this was like serious, right? Because it just, you know, it was not just a poem, it was a whole issue that you had to unpack.
We were about 8 or 9 friends of mine go high school.
And all of you were just,
like we found out that our fathers or our alleged fathers or whatever fathers in they kind of originate from Rustenburg.
Most of them. What? That's strange. That's really interesting, though.
So yeah, we were calling ourselves the fatherless children from Rustenburg, and in a way, it was a support group. We need that, you know. When you have a problem, identify yourself with other people. They're going through similar things, and you are helping each other out.
Yeah.
You know, we made fun of it because reality we can't go back, we can't do anything. So the only thing that we can do for ourselves is just embrace the fact that, okay, we are kids, we are children, we are here in this world. Our fathers, wherever they are, since Baba Mbailo reka di pampers, o mongwe ga tira ke trainer, o mongwe since like a read mara ha o research fela ga to ntso ya go gongwe kwa.
What? It's crazy that all of you guys, like, you know, fathers from Rasta.
And we never had relationships with them, like none of them, like
all of you,
all of us.
And so all of you were just maybe like it was like a sort of joke that you had. Wow, God. That was interesting. Wow. So this was a serious issue.
You know, you had to make fun of certain situations for this swallow everything that is in you.
That is in you.
Like we have a lot of capabilities, but a lot of us we hide ourselves in pain.
Yeah.
We hide ourselves in now maybe my mother doesn't have this. I should have grown up like that. This, that. You know, there's a lot of things that could have happened but did not.
It did not.
They like no. So it's up to you and from all this, what do you digest? Yes.
Yeah, because there's another poem though, you know, because you know at the beginning of the book, as I was reading the book, I felt like Mariano Nkarikia has a problem with you know, like why is it you know, yeah, because okay, the first poem is fatherless, yes, but then you go in, there's other poems there, you know, where you speak about obviously, you know, you know, uncles doing certain things, you know, that I don't want to express it, you know, with my. You know, with my mouth, at least on this podcast. Did you, when you were writing such poems, did you experience them, or did you find other people who have experienced them, or did you hear stories of people who have experienced them? because it's that part. Because there was a poem, in fact, by Red Dot, called
Mommy's Note.
Mommy's Note.
I know you were gonna say that.
That
I know
poem,
you were gonna say that.
that poem, like, listen, when I was reading the Inevitable Evergreen, that poem really moved me. Like it shifted something when, like, I've never heard a vivid description, of someone going through an experience the way that man painted that thing, So when as I was reading your poem as well, as I was going through some of the poems, I got to that part as well. I'm like, wow, like, how close is this to home? Kuningi.
And it's getting kuningi, yeah.
Okay.
But I think at some point, like I'm saying, the main point of the book is expressions.
Yeah.
Expressing your emotions, expressing your challenges, expressing your thoughts, expressing all those things. And some of those, yes, I went through them. Some of those, luckily, I did not go entirely through them. Some of those, I had close people that I lived with go through them. And I think that's the other hard part of having people go through things and not being able to say anything. Because the moment now you start saying things about them, it's like you're betraying that trust between you and them. All right. So you literally go through that with them, like the pain, the fear they have about close family friends or close anyone,
uncles, brothers.
But like, we'll create another day where we talk about this one. Because
no, I know we don't want to go there, right? Because we are really celebrating your book and trying to celebrate your first.
I think
your first
still
anthology.
The point of the book is to cry, and I believe in a way I'm that voice of other people who cannot say what they need to say. So I'm taking that upon myself, Lynn. For a lot of family setups right now, that's what we're saying, that we can't go to our homes anymore. We can't enjoy the environment. And those were environments that we should actually be comfortable in, that we should be getting support in,
love,
all those things.
Peace,
but because of these people that we should be trusting, the fear of trusting people, so we need to speak about this kind of things. We should release that kind of used to work in the 18th century kind of. Right now it's causing a lot of strains in the relationship, and we don't deal with the issues, we'd rather deal with the people who are raising the issues. You understand? So I think it's about time then we start really talking about
the issues themselves,
the root of all
cause.
these things.
Do you really think maybe you've noticed where these problems might be coming from? Do you think you have sort of like identified a root of some sort, that maybe you think maybe if we address this, maybe this would change, or maybe this is how, I know I'm really taking you to places that you probably don't want to go to, but I feel like, what would be the point of the conversation? What would be the point of the book published anyway if we don't go there, So I'm sorry to push you there, but I just wanted to know if maybe you have identified, because definitely these are brothers, these are uncles, these are, people that some of us respect, you understand? And so, but then, what could be this problem? Because where did this start from? Before we move to the other good parts,
Okay, I'm just touching base on that, ne?
Yeah.
I think we are all a problem in a way, ne? I'm not gonna exclude myself from things, and dilo tse di similar ka humor. When you spend time, right now go na le bo di issues about the gender-based violence, the sexual harassment, maybe go the workplace and stuff like that. And we don't really understand how dilo tseo di tla ka go tshwana le eng. The fact that gore ha ke feta ke mabebeza size ya ka ntwana yami, you know, it's things that are common. It's fine. But indirectly it's sexualizing someone. You know, go na le this thing in irritating to the core. When I used to grow up, ne re gare le mo di family settings, mostly one tate, you know, le bo mme le bone ba tlhola ba dira kgangeo tla be re ngwana ha feta ba re tla ngwana ba ba mo tshwara on their private parts ba ba isa ko ba ba re it's motsokonyana wa ngwana, you know those are things they leng gore re godile ka tsone, re godile ka those kind of things. And then what does it say? Okay, let's just dissect everything else. Arebe mo fatshe mo. What does it say go tsaya letsogo la gago and touch a child's private part? Umuruta gore this is a game. Like you and I as an uncle, as this older person, it's okay for me to touch you. Like you are not supposed to even say,
it's not supposed to be an issue.
I grew up around that. Yeah, and I got things go di khadi, go fetsa go tsuya go di boxera, go irele tshwara malome ka ditsebe ngwanaka. And like
it was just a lot, man.
You know, yeah.
I hear you. I never really looked at it that way because I know then I've sort of like, at least as a child, I was, you know, I experienced some of those things.
Thank you.
But, you know, maybe I never looked at them in a way. Well, I haven't done that to my nephews or nieces. Yeah. I haven't done that to my nephews or nieces or anything like that. This because I think you know, now we are a different generation.
Yeah.
We relate to children differently, you know. But the older generation, I know definitely what you're talking about.
Yes.
But you know, enough about, you know, the somber stuff, you know. As the book progresses and you move into, you know, the identity of who you are and you start to see yourself, you know, there's poems like Mera, which you performed yesterday. There's poems like where you speak of yourself as an African, you know, the way you identify yourself as an African. How important is knowing yourself and, you know, understanding yourself, and, you know, after going through all of these things, and, you know, because, I mean, you're going through all of these things, you know, whatever, you know, all these dark things, because I think you really structured the book well. Like you started with all the hectic stuff and then you went down like, okay, like now let's chill, let's find the joy in life and whatnot.
A lot of things.
Like love, you know, identify, because there's love poems there where you know, identify the partner, where you identify yourself, you know. So how important is identity, you know, and, you know, for you and knowing yourself, and why do you really believe that you are an African princess? Because that's who you.
Okay. First things first, ne. I think with the African princess thing, I don't give myself that name. Yeah, I think I should just clarify there. Nkile ka contest ha ke la ke golane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so ne ke phela ke tsa mo the first princess and stuff like that. So there were a lot of people who don't pizza princess. Specifically there's other principal of mine, not a pizza princess. I went, okay, a lot of people then started calling me princess. Fine. I went to Unibo, met with Fifth Grove Poetry Club. And I guess the way Nikki Simulaki Sarakate and I was like, sure, like the one no, they're actually the ones who were like, sure, African princess, like, I was like, African princess, that has a nice ring to it, you know, that has a nice ring to it. Okay, fine. Then I was like, so they helped me identify that. When it comes to identity, I think it's very important for you to know who you are. And I know knowing who you are in terms of clan wise, hey, my father, my mother, the family tree, that part. And then there's that other part, okay, I'm from this situation, ke tsale ko Mahikeng, ke tsene sekolo sa ko kae, ke tsamaile 70 kilometers an hour, ke a ko kae. Okay, who am I? Do I identify myself with the struggles that I came from? Or is there something that I think better of myself? You know, like, okay, throughout these challenges, am I going to dwell on that? Or do I think this is just a stepping stone? You know, when there are people who feel the rain and who weather the storm, or king pula hai na gona le ba le ba leng gore, oh God, ooh, and then there are those who go like, thank you. You know, it's just a matter of how you react.
Sure.
It's just a matter of how you can choose to alter that at any stage. There's a learning theory that is there, behavioral modification. It's there. You teach yourself and your mind and your emotions that I'm not gonna let this affect me, because me as a person, this is who I think I am. I'm not gonna be defined by circumstances. We say we act out of anger. It's understandable, perfectly so. But sometimes they're waiting for a certain moment to say what they've been bottling inside.
What they've been keeping inside.
You know, so I'd rather be known as that outspoken person. Say it out. If anything, let's address it. Okay, we are fine. I don't like pretending. I'd rather just be in a loner, you know.
Straight talk or what.
But in a respectable way. I've learned that. As much as we are finding ourselves, you can talk to other people, but you don't necessarily need to belittle them. You don't need to shame them. You don't need to. But there's sometimes when you need to. Let us address that. Is that sometimes when you need to.
You need to be like.
When you need to be angry. Let us not dispute the emotions. Yes, we just need to understand how to properly use the emotions that are on. So I think in this African princess brand of me, when you're royal, you don't just act. You know, there might be circumstances going on, but you need to find a solution. Don't just dwell.
Don't just.
Government. Okay, what can we do? Let's talk about something that we can create. Okay, I'm not gonna say I'm a leader, but guys, there needs to be someone who's doing this. So what are we doing? I think also it went into that discipline that I had with myself. You know, there's certain conversations my friends know that we don't have them.
When it comes to you, they're like, oh, we don't go there. This is ski. Now that's really interesting. And certain things. Another thing about the book is I felt like you were mostly advocating for women. Most of the, some of the poems, they sounded like, we're like, you're trying to empower women. I'm not saying that maybe you were. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we can continue. Sharp. So I was saying, some of the poems, you sounded like you were sort of like advocating for women. Would you? And this, I'm just gonna be direct with this question. Do you consider yourself a feminist?
I wouldn't say a feminist. I would say an activist.
An activist.
Yes.
For women.
No.
For women rights, activist in general.
When you're an activist, you fight for human rights, general. Okay. So when I get in an environment, I generally assess what is going on, and if I feel there's anyone belittled, let it be kids, let it be females, let it be disabled people, let it be the silent ones. This person wants to say something, but because we are all outspoken, we don't give them a chance. That's me.
That's where
that's where I come and go like, okay, guys, I think we've been saying a lot. Nana, it's your turn now.
Your turn.
Yeah, because there needs to be somebody recognizing certain things. If ever I'm just gonna be on me, and I ignore other people, I get I'm just a parrot listening to my own voice, and that's what I learned in activism. sometimes I might not agree with you. But the fact that I'm realizing how this thing is burdening you and how it's affecting all these other things, I need to recognize that, you know, and that's where we need to also compromise, you know, meet each other halfway, body, let's agree to disagree kind of thing.
Let's just let it slide.
But I'm not, I hadn't really equal because we are different. Okay, let's just move away from that.
And just find a common ground, a common place where we can start moving and building.
So I think, Mari, growing up, yes, I was around situations where you realize patriarchy. Like, you're similar to that, hey, patriarchy. Hey, man. Okay. Bro, right now, nobody conscious.
Red dot. So don't discuss you about patriarchy, going to be yourself.
Yonginto was just there. And I was like, Marihone, Kalerhatelo. History. We're talking about history, not the current situation, because we are trying to change that one. Sure. I think, this is my view about feminism. Feminism came to rise because of a lot of issues still on females were feeling they are oppressed on. It's not a matter of 50-50 to me. This is my view. It's not a matter of 50-50. You know, no, we'll never. I don't think I'll ever be able to do certain other things. And as much as I take pride doing on my other part, like, we have certain roles. And no, we are not gonna they love cooking. I started only a woman's chore.
Something that is,
you know. Now I love gardening. I love getting dirty, like I love that.
You like the outdoors.
I love that. So I cannot say I get because papa where else he actually enjoys cooking. I hate cooking. I don't like okay, for my friends and stuff. So I don't do food. So if I have someone who goes like, I love this. Because it's a woman's
just
thing.
Because it's a man. It's a man's role.
Everyone is coming with their own share. Own share. The time feel like 100. You're coming with your own totality. I need to accept you with that. You know, Lynn, I feel out like a kanyong accept that I see ya every day. But when
that time comes.
You know, but there's other things. I can relax.
Yeah. He will take care of
everything.
So
there was just that thing. Women wanted to do certain things and then they were prevented from that by mere effect of their gender.
So basically what you're telling me is that you are not a feminist. You just are an activist. You stand for human rights. And that's cool.
Please. That's me.
All right.
That's me.
I think we are just going towards closing this conversation, because I think we have had a good conversation so far. I think a lot of people will have to buy the book, guys. Buy Crying Ink. Crying Ink.
My Savior,
right? This is a very interesting view into what some women go through, and I think as even if you're a guy, I know that the color is pink and everything. You're like, oh no, I can't read this. I'm a man, I have to read black books, or brown or whatever. But this is a really important book because then you get to learn about sisters and their struggles and what they are thinking, and I think it's a good place to start. So while I'm going through, because you have cried and everything like that. And, the title of the book says My Savior at the end, And for some reason, it's like you find salvation or some sort, And the ink is crying, but then at the same time, it brings a savior of some sort. So do you really think that, writing was... Maybe if we had to remove writing from the picture, would there be anything else to substitute? To say, okay, to deal with your own, plight and your whatever is happening in your head, Because I'm just curious because Because that's the savior. The savior word is very strong. Like when you say the ink is my savior, that means there might probably be nothing else outside of the pen or the ink that can save you. You understand? So I'm just curious, if there was no pen and the ink and the paper, how would you be dealing with yourself right now?
You hear that I'm screaming already, my friends. Yo, because here's the thing, man. I grew up around a family that was very active with a lot of things.
Yeah.
And now my granddad, athletics club, body scouts, like there's a lot of things, you know, that I can escape to or do. Let's go kerekeng, ke ira di-activity ke opela, di-theater le di-drama khale ke di simolotse ko le ne. But that meant I had to read someone stuff, you know. And yeah, go na le mo e leng gore ra kopana teng le ga o opela, that's actually you doing something that is written by someone, unless then I have to write, because that's where the writing now comes in.
Where you have to do your own.
Yes, I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, you utlwa mara tlhomaganyo ya mafoko ana. Ha e the way nna. Ke batlang gore direction ya pelo ya ka e kgone go lla sentle, ba bona. So yo,
it would be a difficult life.
I can sing on other moods when I need to break. Mare go thuba pelo go le ga ka man ke go dira sentle ka pele. Yeah, and after you do that, I get about how thuba pelo mat when you're going through a lot of stuff, o hloka go thuba pelo. Go tlo go tona le something, go na le thaba go Limpopo, so but I'm like ditobane. It's a fighting mountain or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Like you hit it. You hit it. Like you understand me? Whatever so na listen like you just take out your anger wa go betsa thaba ele o e betse until le no tlo matla gago a fedile and then you go back in that how to go ntshetsa anger unnecessary on anyone, you know, because uthubile pelo, you feel free, you know, like
there's a calm.
You know, it's like echo in high simulator and I can go like oh haruka kopola sengwe le sengwe wa ntlhaloganya, like you are having that peace with you that okay, thank you, I said what I needed to say and I got khopisa
I'm happy. Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah.
Ha gone potlo ntshwarelang dikwale, ha gona se 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 tsalang because I got khopisa ope unless when o tlo go tsenya tlhogo ga go moteng ga pene le pampiri ya ka o bo baletse ke dikwale like yo like is there why is like but that's a private stuff and we don't go kwena mhlomong mina tshwana, how do you know?
So that's interesting because that means the pen really is something that you really like. It's a very useful thing for your life. Like
mara ha tla go lebella e yalo, musicians they have to write. Like you need to align music ya gago le di emotions tsa gago. Like there's always genre e rileng e dealing le di emotions tse di rileng le teng, you know. Content, that's what it takes. Like you need to write something that is relevant, you know, and that someone can relate to. Don't just fiction, you are writing mare o lebeletse something that is happening and you are writing, you know. So I love that thing of bringing something into life. Like we all have thoughts, we all have plans, we have everything, but the moment you put it down, it's like history now made.
So when do you write? Do you have a schedule for writing, or do you write like, you know, a lot of artists would say, no, I wait for the inspiration to come to me, you know? Or are you like, you know, a full-time writer type thing?
Hey.
Good question.
I think man, ke na le go ipitsa gore le nna ke kwala ka maikutlo sometimes. Unless I'm motivated, like wa bona part of the competitions you write titles there and then I have to choose and get into the flow of that. But otherwise it's a lot of emotions. You know, it's you're going through this. Sometimes it's like you're having a constant thought, like it's bugging you. It's bugging you, like you just need to take it out in jail somewhere.
And then when you look at it from the page, then it looks different.
And that's the thing with poetry. Well, I don't know other forms of writing. With poetry, there are other poems that I wrote and I didn't understand what they meant. Like, how to get it's that constant thought going like, no, write it like this. By the mercy of the paper. Okay, by the mercy of the paper that surrenders. What? There's a paper that's surrendering. Right. Okay, by the mercy of the paper that surrenders to the tears of my pen, I find refuge. Oh. Only then, after you've written it and you went through something and you look at it like, oh, by the
After some
mercy.
time, when you go back to
like
it,
this
when you
paper
revisit
is
the
actually
paper,
being
yeah.
merciful to me to listen to everything that I'm writing. You know, it's taking its time, this paper, from all the things that it can be doing. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I because Rakwala no yana, it's been a great, I think a great conversation. But before we close it, what do you want people to take from your book? What do you really think maybe people should, look at in your book, and why should they read your book? Because I think now we are moving away from the author and we are moving to the publisher. Because I know in your banners you're like, no, I'm a publisher, I'm a writer, I'm a performer, and and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So, but now we are going to the publisher, the person who sells the book, and why would you want people to? What do you want people to take from the book, mostly?
I think when I was writing this, most of the poems that I wrote, I was still a kid.
Yeah.
And I had not yet found ways to publish. So most of my work, really, I think it's targeting youth,
Young people.
because they're the ones who are still trying to figure certain things out. And it's important to understand certain things out when you're figuring things. It's easy to lose your path.
Yeah.
It's easy to find yourself in the wrong crowd just because you guys are sharing similar challenges. So it was just talking about what I went through and hoping that whoever is going through, even if it's not the exact same thing, but going through emotional challenges, maybe it's about the family or relationships or whatever that it may be, it just understand that we also are kids at that time, and we also had like a lot of options that we could have chosen from, but it's your choice at the end of the day. And learn to know how to express yourself. Right now, people are battling about depression.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people. And depression is basically suppression of emotions.
Yeah.
Like the mental state now start getting affected by all those things that we have been bottling inside. So a lot of kids are committing suicide currently because they don't know how to deal with situations. So I'm merely hoping that whoever, because at some point we are all kids.
Yeah.
When you grow up, I realize how much of a kid I am.
Yeah.
I realize that I still need to maintain this kind of relationship. I still need this kind of attention, and if I don't get it, I act in certain ways. So if the kid in you is not yet maintained, if the traumas that you went through as a child, they're not yet covered, then you're still just gonna go around not understanding who you are. So I'm hoping that when you have challenges, you can just go to it and understand that you're not alone, and you can actually make something good out of your pain. You can write a book. You can write films. People write films right now. People write songs. You can actually monetize your pain right now.
Exactly.
So let's not just take the pain and go bury it there and then leave us in other pain. So rather just try to express it in ways where it will benefit you and other people around you,
and not really self-destruct and whatnot.
Thank you.
So in closing, we normally close our podcasting with 3 questions. Oh no, not 3 questions, but one specific question. What we normally ask people before they leave is, how would you describe a book in 3 words?
The book in 3 words.
A book. Any book. your favorite book. Maybe you have a favorite book that you've read and that impacted you.
3 words.
Yeah, just 3 words to exercise. You like, this is a book in 3 words. Well, now if you must read, but you have 3 words to tell this person. What would those words be?
Yeah, ne. Is what if you do thing, yeah, nah, but that's fine.
Scrabble.
But it's Scrabble. But I would say 3 words to a sentence or
no, just 1 word, another word, another word.
Okay, emotional, encouraging, and what? Yeah.
The last
Self-preservative.
Self-preservative.
Yeah.
So it's emotional, encouraging, and self-preservative.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from herself. You know what I'm saying? From the writer herself. This is Keaobaka Intelligencia Dipale, and we forgot to speak about your grandfather. Who was also a writer, who was actually a very great influence in your life in writing. I think it's, I don't know if I'm going to say the words right. I think it's SJS or what? What's his name? SZ.
No.
ZS. Oh, I got the S right. I just got
at least, and the Jesus, like they were there.
ZS Dipale, who was also a writer. He used to write Tswana books, and so I think the African princess is just continuing the legacy of KwaDipale, and we had to just put it out there. It's like you come from a very important lineage, that has contributed to the Tswana literary space, and I think it's an incredible thing to really be a part of. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Peace and love, peace and love, peace and love, peace and love. This was it.